Hello again. Welcome to the Bridging Divides podcast, where we interview good people, do good stuff for good people and stuff. We are going to jump right into it today. I'm super excited to bring you our guest, Jeremy Bridwell. Jeremy is a longtime friend. We have been able to, we've gotten into all sorts of trouble. We've known each other for, 11, 12 years now?
Yeah.
It was back when we worked at the bank doing claims. Ooh, so fun.
Oh yeah.
We were in the trenches. Definitely battle buddies for that job. We won't say which bank. It rhymes with Schmank of Bamerica, though. Man, that was rough. But
saving the world one ATM claim at a time.
One ATM claim at a time. Or I think my favorite one was when this guy called in and he's like, "These charges aren't mine," and I couldn't tell what it was.
Yeah.
And so I was like, "Okay, well, we'll call the vendor, call him up, and it's like a sex chat."
That was like half of our calls.
And he's like, "Oh, dude, they're not mine." And I was like, "Oh man, okay." And then the lady's like, "Yeah, well, what we'll do is we'll listen to the calls and then we'll determine if they're yours." And inside, I'm thinking like, please, I don't let him listen to these. I do not want to listen to this, And he's like, "Oh, never mind. It's okay. I'll eat these charges." I'm like, yeah, I'm sure you will. Not yours, but.
I never had any quite that severe as far as that variance. I did have quite a few life-threatening ones.
Yes, I remember
and got
those.
to testify in court for one, but
right.
we'll leave that there.
That was intense.
That was intense. I won't say anything else just for legality purposes, but
dude, oh my gosh, yeah,
it was an intense experience.
Life threats for sure, bomb threats. I remember we had a couple of those. The guy that called was like, "I know where you guys work. I know where the center is." Was that the one?
That was mine.
Oh, dude,
that was mine.
That was insane.
Yeah.
Absolutely crazy. We all had to evacuate, and
that
was a crazy.
I'll
time.
be escorted out by guards to our cars. Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, that was a crazy time.
Yeah.
Anyway, so there you go. That's where our relationship was forged, and it was crazy. Remember that first day, and our eyes locked, and it was love at first sight.
Tisk tisk.
Oh no.
Our wives have been jealous ever since.
Yep. They always feel like third wheels. I guess wouldn't that just be four wheels?
I don't know. There has to be like a fifth somewhere in there to make it off kilter. But
somewhere, I don't know. Anyways, yeah, we're going to going like way off the rails.
The usual.
The usual. No, I'm super excited. So for you guys, Jeremy and I, we've motivated each other to do. I don't know how much I've motivated you, but he's motivated me to do a lot with my life. I've seen him be successful in business and how he's both. He started, built, and then sold. I don't know how many companies. What have you done? I remember the pool service, landscaping.
Mm-hmm. Prior to meeting you, there was one other, couple others that, let's be real, didn't pan out to be successes. But
that's part of the journey. Right? That's part of success is the failure that comes.
Well, and in the words of Seth Godin, if you've succeeded as more times than you failed, you haven't tried hard enough. So just put yourself out there. See, throw it to the wall. I call it the pickle contest. Pickle races from back on Billy Madison. Sitting at the restaurant, see which one goes fastest, and see what sticks. You always learn something from it. The only true failure in life, in my opinion, is if you didn't learn something from it when you walk away.
100%.
So.
No, and so I've just been super excited to have you come on, and we've been trying to plan this for a little while, but thanks for coming on.
Of course.
We're super excited to have you. So Jeremy is just this awesome wealth of information, and so just kind of want to jump into a lot of the things that we've talked about, and amidst our ramblings, hopefully you'll be able to get something beneficial from it. So all right, dude. So on the Bridging Divides podcast, we talk a lot about success principles, about what some of those successes and failures have been, which you've seen some of the episodes, some of the clips that we've had. And so we'll dive right into the subject matter.
Yeah.
Starting off, so what is this just kind of fun? Well, no, I guess we talked about some things that people didn't know about you, probably having a bomb threat, where you work, that's probably not very, very well known.
It's exciting.
Is there anything else? Any other fun tidbits you can give us?
There's a lot we've covered. Things, if you want to get real nitty gritty, exciting things that you find in people's yards and people's pools. More importantly, I mean, I think the biggest tidbits of excitement for me is just how many opportunities being a business owner or being in a scenario like that really affords you when it comes to personal relationships and being able to really build those relationships. It's kind of funny. Currently I am in real estate. I'm a realtor. I just signed back on with Keller Williams Integrity First out of Gilbert, Arizona.
You've been doing real estate I've
been doing real estate for going on 10 years.
Yeah, so it's been a minute.
It has. It's my first love. It's my passion. I could talk about it for hours and hours, so I try to avoid it unless somebody has a lot of time. But one of my partners in the office, I met him at an open house. Yeah. He was thinking about going into real estate. Sold him his first house, walked him through getting his license, getting everything done, and now full kilter, we work together.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, super awesome guy. But, opportunities like that where as you meet people in the trenches, if you will, you really get the opportunity to get to know them and make those connections to really help benefit lives.
Yeah, no, and I think that's super awesome. So I've talked to you about the bridge strategy before, right? The 5 building blocks of success, that the kind of the program that I've come up with, and going through that, I tried to really kind of hone in on what would those core foundational building blocks be for creating the bridge to your success, right? And you touched on one just now, which was helping others complete their bridge, right? So it's like it's interesting how when you focus on somebody else and what they need versus what you want and you need, how what you want and need ends up coming back to you anyway.
And it comes back tenfold in a lot of cases. Most cases.
It's crazy, right? Like that. How have you seen that? So you gave that example, but how have you seen that?
So I see that in a lot of areas, to be real frank. I mentioned I've been in real estate for going on the better part of 10 years. I've done that through different avenues. I have a unique kind of background where I've spent time in new construction. I've spent time with some of the larger, more commercialized iBuyers.
Okay.
So I have a more varied experience. I've worked with investors. So where a lot of agents really just focus on what you would think of as your traditional real estate agent or realtor. Yes, it is realtor.
Not realtor.
It's not reality based. It's realtor. But through that, a lot of people don't see the whole pendulum. And so with those experiences, I've spent a lot of time mentoring in each of the areas, and then even just in education with people following through from there. And through that process, it really gives you the opportunity to personalize the experience, and that personalization, that one-to-one contact, whether it's from a peer, whether it's from a client, no matter what it is, it's always looking for the way to help them understand, and you end up growing in the same regard.
How has it come back to you, helping people, like focusing on what they need versus just trying to make a sale?
It comes back with the sale usually. When people know that you have their best interest in mind, they lower their guard as long as it is genuine and true. You can't go into it and say, "Hey, I'm going to convince these people that they can love me, and I'm going to do whatever I want for them."
At that point, it's a manipulation tactic. You're not if you're not genuine, you're manipulating them to try to get them to let their guard down. And then when it's down, then you swoop in.
Well, and if you think about it, not bringing up too much personal experiences here, but you and I in your home transaction.
Yes, actually, I was going to mention that.
Yeah, I sold you this home. Helped you buy this home is the more accurate way of putting that. But through that process, there were a lot of wants and wishes, and a couple times you've thought about selling this home and purchasing something else.
Yeah.
Where, let's be real frank, it would have meant at this point probably an extra $15,000-$20,000 in my pocket.
Yeah.
But it wasn't the right move for you.
Right.
You know, it was going to put you a little bit ahead of where you wanted to be, and it would have held back some of your goals, like creating the bridging divides type of opportunity. Right. That was a dream at the time, and this being in your financial circumstance now allows that to continue.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, let's be real. I'm not shopping for business, but you trust me. So when you are ready, you're going to come to me.
Right.
I don't need to rush that relationship. I can focus on growing and cultivating it, and in due time, when it is right, it will come back. You just have to love the person. And I think loving and that compassion is more important than anything else in business. Absolutely. If you don't have that genuine love, you're just not going to be successful. You're not going to do the right thing for your client. You're going to do the right thing for you.
Right.
And that is the worst place to be in business.
No, 100%. And you'd mentioned something that reminded me of, I was listening to Dr. Ivan Meisner. He's the founder of Business Networking International, the father of modern networking. Right. Like, he's written, I don't know how many books, he's fantastic. But he talked about how basically what you're talking about, building those relationships, is the difference between farming and hunting. When you're hunting, it's all about the one. It's that transaction. It's do whatever you can to manipulate to get that one sale. But when you're farming, you're building relationships, you're cultivating, and then that's more sustainable. And then you have depending on how well you do, you have a bountiful harvest, right? You know, you have referrals that come your way, you have repeat business that come your way. You know, I wouldn't trust anybody else to help me with what I need with real estate because of that, right? I remember the selling agent for the other person. I remember you were telling me, I was asking questions and you're trying to make sure that I understood exactly what we were doing, what needed to happen, etc. You know, and she said, you know, your job isn't to make sure they understand. Your job is to make sure that they buy the home no matter what, right? And when I heard that, it's like, well, I mean, that to me kind of sealed the deal. Or it's like when you took the time to make sure that I felt good, that my wife felt good, that we understood everything, as opposed to just sign the papers. Sign here, initial here, we're done. I get my money and we move on. Well,
and the other the conversation you're talking about, I remember it very candidly. It's something I reference with new agents all the time.
That's crazy.
That conversation came up because they were fighting with us over the kitchen lights. None of the kitchen lights were turning on, and so they were trying to argue, yeah, we'll replace the kitchen light bulbs. And I said, well, no. If that's all it is, great, but they need to be in operable condition, meaning, you know, if there's something deeper than a light bulb, you have to promise you're going to fix it before we sign this agreement.
Yeah.
Right? And she was like, why are you pulling hairs? My client said they'll fix it. No, they said they'd replace light bulbs. And if you remember, when they went and put the light bulbs in, 5 of the 6 lights weren't working, and you would have been on the hook to pay for them.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it's having that best interest in mind at all times does come back to repay you.
100%. No, and I've seen that. I mean, with bridging divides alone, you know, with building the relationships that have helped me get here. I've talked about Kayla so often, you know, with helping film and edit and produce, and the only reason why we even know each other is because of trying to help other people, networking, getting out there and trying to help people complete their bridge, right? So one of the first building block of the bridge strategy is blueprint, which is all about, you know, where you're trying to go, what's going to get in your way, you know, limiting beliefs, all about overcoming those limiting beliefs to get rid of what's going to get in your way. What have you seen were some of your limiting beliefs in all of kind of the successes and failures, and how did you overcome them?
I've had a lot of people let me know that everybody has an agent. It's next to impossible to be truly successful. I've had a lot of people in business say, you know, you can't start up. I mean, where are you? What are you doing? And the true limiting belief isn't the people. It's yourself. You know, just be real candid. And that's kind of my answer to how I've overcome a lot of those hurdles as well. I believe, as silly as it sounds, I believe in positive affirmations. I believe in making sure that you have your eyes on the prize. You have your focus set correctly. For the LDS community, referring to your Leona, knowing exactly where you want to go and how you're going to get there.
Yeah.
Just make sure you have the tools in place, and you look to the people that really truly matter in your life as the only people that you really focus on as advisors. Having that knowledge and that confidence in yourself, that assertiveness to know that it's already happened before it's even officially happened on paper. I personally believe is the most important thing, just that vision.
So the visualization of where you want to go.
Yes.
Kind of that's been a way for you to kind of overcome those thoughts of like, no, you can't do it. Who are you to be able to do this? Or, it's interesting how the people that are around you, kind of something that I've noticed is the people that are around you when you try to kind of get out of the rat race. Happened a lot when I was in the military. Getting out of the military, it's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Why you're not going to succeed. You're going to, I remember one guy telling me, he's like, oh, you'll be in the military for forever. And I was like, why? He's like, cause it's easy and you do what's easy. And I was like, well, thanks for that vote of confidence, but it's interesting though, that it's like your old life tries to hold on to you as much as it can, and to be able to break out of that, you have to one, see where you want to go, have the blueprint, keep visualizing it, and be able to overcome those I don't know, the shackles that are going to try to hold you back and keep you down where you're at, instead of breaking out into more.
And to further delve deeper on the blueprint, you think about it. The architect drafts up the blueprint.
Yeah.
Then it gets sent out to electrical. Then it gets sent out to mechanical. It goes through so many different phases of integration and implementation, right? And the blueprint itself is just a basic groundwork, obviously, as we refer to it as. But how many times that blueprint gets looked back at throughout the process, even until the final phase of construction and completion.
Absolutely.
And that, I think, is just as important to make sure you're keeping your roots, that you're knowing exactly where you're going, and you're reminding yourself on an almost daily basis to make sure that you don't miss a step. You don't miss that one wire at the end, because that one wire in the end is the ground wire coming from the top story. You got to rip out all that drywall. You got to pull everything back and start right over again.
Yeah.
So making sure you pay very close attention to that is key.
And make sure you're referencing it throughout the process. No, I love that. And I'm probably going to use that in the future, because it is so important. And that actually, I'll reference here the fifth building block, the last one. They're kind of perfect bookends because of that. But the second one is lay the first brick. It's all about taking initiative, being productive. How do you personally find those productivity principles, because it's different for everybody, right? I mean, Atomic Habits by James Clear is a fantastic book about habit stacking, how you can take initiative, how you can set up systems to make it easier for you, that sort of a thing. But how have you noticed taking initiative has gotten you to where you want to be? Not waiting for somebody else to come to you, but you get out there and you lay the first brick. How is that?
So I'm in this phase of rollout and implementation right now.
Oh, perfect.
So, with me, I just signed on with Keller Williams Integrity First, like I said. Yeah. And with that, I haven't been in the traditional real estate sphere in going on 3 years.
Okay.
So, going back to my roots and doing everything, I'm excited. I love it, but it's almost like I'm starting from ground zero again. And I think where people get caught up is they spend so much time in that analysis paralysis, kind of like you mentioned, where they're so busy talking about what that first brick lay is going to look like and how they need to do it to make sure it's perfect, instead of realizing that the first brick is underground and no one is going to see it.
Interesting.
So lay it, put it down. And when you put it down, realize, oh, you know what? I didn't have that tool. That one's going to be okay. But the next brick is going to be even better because I'm going to go pick up this tool from Home Depot or the hardware store. and you're improving it every time. So instead of having to have the flawless solution, because guess what, it's not going to happen, you just start doing it.
Yeah.
And you learn as you go. You make sure that what you have to have, you have to have the concrete, you have to have the mortar to get started.
Yeah.
So get your legalities in place, the things that are non-argumental. They have to be in place to make it work. You make sure those are there and you go to work, and then you figure out what you need to make it 10% better, 20% better, and you go get it. Maybe you buy better mortar. Maybe you go buy a different chisel. There could be any number of things, but you aren't going to know what you don't have until you go find out that you don't have it.
Yeah.
It sounds silly, but we just get stuck in this rigmarole of I'm going to, and we never get to, I did it.
Yeah.
And now I'm doing this. And that's where those affirmation statements come in too.
No, 100% to keep you going, to be able to kind of have that, like, I know that, progress, the way forward's through failure, And so it's like, there's so many different things that you're not going to come across a certain problem down the road unless you get started down that road.
And
you're not going to see it from the beginning, so you have to start.
Totally. And I mean, prime example. Okay. Yeah. Had an agent first weekend ever doing open houses on her own. Okay. She was real nervous.